Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for tonight's special voting meeting of the East Fishkill Town Board. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Before we get going, I did want to make one mention under Supervisor's Announcements. I don't know if anybody's been watching the World Series. I don't watch baseball. But I got to tell you, we have this young man from the town of East Fishkill, Joe Panic, and it's just amazing. I've been watching just about every game now, and I am so proud of him. And to know he started playing Little League over here. He graduated, he played through all the different steps of baseball, became a pro in his first year of the majors, was on the team. And he wasn't just on the team, he participated. He was one of those that was out there that really worked. And I tell you the truth, I'm just thrilled that Joe Panic, and they mentioned East Fishkill and Hopewell Junction a lot. Bill Green, our rec director, sent me an email. I couldn't read the whole thing to everybody, it's a little bit, but I would just read a little bit of it. This is from rec director Bill Green, asking us to acknowledge East Fishkill resident and John Jay graduate Joe Panic for his outstanding play in the 2014 Major Leagues postseason and for being a major contributor to the San Francisco Giants World Series championship. Joe demonstrated to the whole world that he's not only an outstanding, dedicated athlete, but also a first-class human being and a fantastic role model for youngsters throughout the country. Joe played in the East Fishkill Little League in our fields here in Hopewell. And we're just so proud of Joe Panic. So I just wanted to read that. Today's his birthday, and I don't know when he's going to come back to the East Coast, but when he does, we're going to do something for him, and I think Dutchess County is going to do something for him because that is just so terrific. So I just wanted to point that out. And I suspect we're going to have a real turnout when we have Joe Panic Day, so we'll look forward to it. All righty. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilperson Cassidy.
Present.
Councilperson D'Alessandro.
Present.
Councilperson Franco.
Present.
Councilperson Marinaro.
Present.
Supervisor Hickman.
Present. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Do I have a motion to open the special voting meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Special voting meeting is now open. Just a couple things I'd like to say on behalf of this application. You know, on both sides, there's been a lot of emotion and a lot of, I'll leave it at that, a lot of emotion. I can understand why people are so passionate on both sides. But to that, I would just like to say that I really appreciate the public input, because public input means a lot to us. We work for the public, and when a project like this comes forward, I think that public input is so important. So I'd just like to say, not only do we work for you, but one things that are brought up, issues are brought up from the public, which maybe we weren't aware. And one reason I did ask last week for a week to review the new documentation we got, we had gotten to do some new documents presented last week. Actually, I found very pertinent, and I wanted to review them, so I thank the board for waiting a week to make the decision. And it's very important that we take all the information, consider all the information. As town board members, we cannot be predisposed to make a determination. We have to wait until a night like tonight when we are satisfied that we have all the documents, all the issues, all the input, and tonight we can make a decision, which we will be, be doing in a few minutes. With that being said, I do have a motion here on this is the decision on the special permit application made by Kearney Realty and Development Corp. For the Muse at Hopewell. And I have a prepared resolution of which I'd like to read a portion. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this board hereby finds that the current application does not meet the criteria set in 194-91-1D and other sections as follows. At the current time, the Hopewell Glen District has an improvement program underway to provide an additional supply of water to the Hopewell Glen District. Until these improvements are approved and built, water for this application is not available and will not be available until mid to late 2016, almost 1 year after the anticipated project is completed. Water quality and storage issues would make use of the Dutchess County water line water quality and storage issues that would make use of the Dutchess County water line are unacceptable, and the applicant's proposed water line is shown to run through private property and no easements, nor letters from the property owners showing their willingness to grant easements has been placed in the record. The property is located outside of Hopewell Hamlet Sewer District, and no arrangement has been entered into by the applicant and approved by the town board on behalf of the district to provide sewer service. The site is not within reasonable proximity to public transportation, nor does it otherwise comply with Section D-6. In a recent submission, the developer now proposes to amend their plan to have a sidewalk run from the site to Palin Road to allow some access to public transportation, which the board finds does meet the criterion of reasonable proximity. Which the board finds does not meet the criteria for reasonable proximity. No shelter or pickup area has been proposed or included in the plans. The applicant's plans for the site do not meet a basic criteria for workforce housing. The workforce legislation was intended as reflected in Section C6 of the Workforce Enactment, amongst other factors, to place workforce housing in close proximity of the town's hamlets, were so close as to allow normal pedestrian access. This intent was to reduce the residents' reliance on automobiles or often inadequate public transportation to access the amenities that are found in the hamlet areas. The board finds that this need for pedestrian access to the hamlet is reinforced by the applicant's statements that approximately 50% of the development's population will be senior citizens or disabled. Section 194-91.0C6 sets forth an intended purpose is to provide pedestrian connection to the nearest hamlet. None has been proposed. The original developer originally proposed to provide the town with funds to create a sidewalk along Route 82 to the hamlet area. The current proposal withdrew that offer. The site does not provide any pedestrian access to the hamlet, nor is the crosswalk to the other side of Route 82 proposed, even though there are some commercial developments across the road. The site is approximately 0.7 miles from the hamlet sidewalks. Furthermore, the detailed analysis conducted of this site shows that a sidewalk along Route 52 from the site to the existing hamlet sidewalks would be approximately 0.7 miles in length, would require private easements since the New York State right-of-way is narrow and bordered for much of its length by major New York State wetlands. The Planning Board, as lead agency under SECRA, studied the traffic proposed to be generated from this site. In doing so, certain assumptions were made with respect to improvements to be made by previously approved developments in the corridor. Due to the slowdown in the economy and budget cuts within New York State DOT, many of the thresholds set for temporary and permanent improvements have not been reached, and therefore their implementation has been greatly delayed. The Route 82 corridor is bursting with traffic and congestion throughout the hamlet. Since the improvements are delayed, and in light of a number of accidents within the immediate corridor, the approval of this site would have a detrimental effect on the immediate community. Section 194-91.1C4 requires the inclusion of appropriate social, recreation, and other facilities within the site. The improvements proposed for the anticipated population in an unauthorized, isolated site do not meet the requirement. The proposal does not meet the standards of Section 194-44 applicable to all special permits. The size and intensity of the development on this site are not in harmony with appropriate and orderly development of this area. The size and height of the buildings will hinder the development that has already taken place and will have severe impacts on adjoining property entries as expressed in the record. The traffic, parking, lack of pedestrian access do not provide safe modes of access to the proposed residents as well as the existing residents. And be it further resolved that the plan proposes to discharge stormwater onto adjacent properties through a New York State DOT culvert, and no information is provided in the record as to the legal ability of the applicant to do so. Be it further resolved that, based on the community's recommendation in the record, this board would consider selling a piece of town property, formerly the Cannon property, to the applicant for construction of this development, as this site is also subject to the application of special permit under 194-91-1. And be it further resolved that the application for the special permit under Section 194-91.1 be and hereby is denied. Do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. The special permit is denied. Excuse me, I was just a little bit dry tonight. We're still working on this stuff, but it has been denied, and with that, do I have a motion to close the special voting meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much.